From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief technologist of Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's show, I have my good friend, Mr. Joel Jenkins, with me, and he's going to talk all about the new SEO product he built for WordPress. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. This episode is brought to you by All-in-One WP Migration, the most trusted WordPress migration plugin with over 60 million sites served. Whether you are switching hosts, changing domains, or moving to a new server, All-in-One WP Migration makes it one click. Try it for free at WordPress.org or visit servemass.com for pro features. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here, and today I have my guest, Mr. Joel Jenkins. Hey Joel, how you doing today?
Not too shabby. How are you, Rob?
Not too bad. So today we're going to jump in and talk about your SEO plugin and what you're doing with development. You were kind enough to give me a preview. I guess it's been about a week or a week and a half ago, which I really
Yeah,
appreciate.
yeah.
But before we jump into that, I have to ask you, how'd you end up in the WordPress space? I know we were just talking off the show a little bit about how much we both like WordPress. How did you end up in this space, and kind of how did that come about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's been a while. I've always just kind of been interested in technology. When family bought the first computer, I was the one who was always tinkering on it. And back in the early 2000s, you could have a Hotmail address or a Yahoo address, and I'm like, I want one of
Yep,
those that has its own domain. So I bought a domain and learned how to get that set up, and then I went
two
down the route
hundred
of
bucks, $200 later
yeah.
at that time, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. And then, cheap hosting at Bluehost or somebody out there.
Mhm.
But my first jump into WordPress, I didn't know what I was doing. I just heard of it. It was the Kubrick theme. So I think it's around 1.5 or 2.0.
Yep.
And just kind of got myself my own blog going that, friends and family would check out. And then I learned that you could actually do more than just blog and turn it into a website. And then, yeah, I've been pretty much into WordPress for 10 or no more, 15 to 20, 15 years of my tinkering with computer career, and loving it. It's just a great platform. I know a lot of new stuff shows up, comes and goes, but WordPress has just been a good constant breadwinner for me.
Yeah, I would agree. It's funny how so many people in this space got in because they had a personal need to solve. And
Yes.
I always tell the story. I started using WordPress for two reasons. One, before all the photo sites were prominent at family get-togethers, I was the one who took a lot of photos. So WordPress became a facility spot where I could put photos and say, go get them here instead of sending everybody DVDs. Yeah, I've done that. Remember those?
Yep.
No.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
then the other thing was I built a first site because I got tired of family asking me stupid questions. And I'd say, by the way, did you go read the resources on here before you ask me the question for the 20th time because you can't understand? And that eliminated a lot of those calls.
Hmm.
And so that was, yeah, we all start to fulfill a need of some sort, I would say. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Mine was just for fun. And then
you know,
a job showed up where I could go do website design and build, and
mm,
I kind of just rolled in. This wasn't a plan. This was always a little
yeah,
side gig, but I just picked up on it, and job showed up, and then another job showed up, and it's like, okay, this is good. I like it. I'm just going to keep rolling with
yeah,
it, and I've
keep
had a lot
moving.
of fun.
Um, you're building an SEO plugin and you're working on,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
would say it's probably not finished. Would that be fair? You got work to do.
I have
You
work to
think?
do. I put it, very late beta.
Yeah,
It's mostly it's pretty stable, but you might find a dead end or a screen that doesn't the data's present but not presented the best. But I'm getting really close, and using it for my own personal side work and SEO projects, I've had a lot of fun really utilizing what it can do, and then being like, I need it to do this. So on one terminal, I'm working on the website, and on the next one, I'm updating the plugin because like I need this feature. Type it up, and then I have it. It's been a lot of fun to develop it real time with some SEO work.
So I have to
And
ask you, I have to
oh,
ask you, why did you jump into what is a crowded space? There's some heavyweights in that space. So right away, Yoast comes to mind, Rank Math
yes,
comes to mind. There's a couple
yes,
others that are up there, and there's new ones coming out every day. It's almost like the form space. And I know people have
yes.
jumped into that space. So why did you jump into a crowded space? Like, how come?
So the product is called Kantan Analytics and Kantan SEO. Kantan is a Japanese word which means
Yeah.
simple. I built a website for a friend. It was really basic, just a single page for their travel agency that was up and going. And I wanted to track traffic because they have a pretty good Instagram following. So I knew they'd get hits, and I'm like, I don't want to put Google Analytics on here. That's way too much to just
I
know how
agree.
many people landed on it. So I quickly just knocked out, just give me, visitor count, a handful of simple metrics, and said, this is really simple. Okay, content analytics. And that was it. And I stuck it on the site, and it worked great. Checked in the next day. Oh, wow, they had 4,000 people hit the site because, like I said, they have a pretty good
Mm.
following on Instagram. And at that time, I was doing, a photography room, the spray and pray. I'm like, AI can do a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to build this project I've been working on. I'm going to knock out this really quick. I'm going to reach out to that friend who has, I'm just going to throw a bunch of projects at the wall. And this one was not one of those. But as I kept going, I wish my little analytical plugin would do this, and then I wish it would do that. And I kept throwing more features at it. And I'm like, maybe I got something here. So it is a crowded space, but the value prop on this is 100% local to you data storage. So you're not reliant on Google Analytics or any other analytical platform. The data all lives in your database. So there's no cookies you have to deal with. So privacy concerns it's all out the door, right? It uses local storage to keep track of users who come back and do that, but that's sticking on their computer. And so that was kind of like the first big kick. But then I realized that with Claude Code and these other AI agents that you can work from the terminal with, you can talk to your data. So not only can you go on your dashboard and see the analytics and the graphs and the charts, but you could also go just use the agent and be like, break it down. Tell me the traffic numbers between this date and this date from this location, from that place, and how's it doing conversion on this screen size or whatever. And so analytics quickly blossomed into analytics plus SEO. So there's two plugins. Analytics is the free one. It has your basic, your normal analytical data. And then SEO is the more premium one that gives you a lot more features to work with and talk with. But long answer to your short question, why I jump into a busy space, I was having fun with it, and it just kind of got some legs on my own. And I thought, let's just keep going with it. It's unique enough that I feel it's
Yeah.
not quite a rubber stamp of the other guys.
Yeah, I agree. I You mentioned analytics, and we all draw the parallel to Google Analytics. And I personally think for the average site owner, and there are some exceptions. Are you running ads? Do you need Search Console? There's reasons like that. But for the average
Yes.
site owner, they will never look at all the metrics that Google Analytics gives. And a
No.
simple analytics solution would give them better what they need instead of what the industry tells them they need. And that to me is a big difference.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that was back at the beginning. I don't need Google. I just want to know how many people are landing on the site. I need a simple number.
Or on a
And so I've
particular page, or yeah.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I
So
think site owners need that, because what I'm seeing is a lot of people I take on, they don't know what their numbers are at all. And I say, but
mhm.
you got Google Analytics installed. And you know what I keep saying? Oh, the guy who built the site did that, and they're too complicated and they don't mean anything to me. I hear that a lot, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. I used to love putting analytics on websites because previous to GA4,
Yeah.
it was pretty easy to bounce around. I wasn't an expert by any means, but I could drill down to where they came from and how long they were on the site and just the basic stuff that was interesting to me. And then GA4 came out, and I didn't want to learn it. There's other people that I work with that that's what they worry about, and I thought for myself, I just want some basic stuff.
Hmm.
And I agree with you on that. Like if you can have the core data that you need. You don't need the enterprise data. You're not an enterprise. You're a small business. You want to know the basic stuff and be actionable on it. And that's where I really love the AI agent tap into it. Is you can be very actionable with it, and you can ask it questions, and you don't have to generate a report. Like on Google Analytics, you can drill down metrics and make reports to get your screens and your dashboards, but like that's complicated. I can just say how many visitors were mobile that came from Google last Tuesday, and it'll
Yeah.
think for a second and give me the answer.
Yeah.
And so being able to
Um,
talk to your data.
yeah. And I think GA4 is really complicated for the average person. I mean, I can do GA4 if I have to. I don't
Yeah.
want to. And I've got some sites I have to, but I really don't want to. It's just, it's
Hmm.
exploded. Um, SEO, is it still relevant
Yes,
today with AI?
absolutely. Um, and I think it pairs up quite nicely with the up and coming, I think this termed AEO, answer engine optimization,
Yes, yes.
where you want to have the good content, but you also need to make sure it's structured. And that is a little piece that I added into it. Inside the SEO plugin, there's an AEO tab that crawls your site, looks for schema, looks for all the stuff you need, so it's relevant for answer engines when they get there. So it's a good little audit on your AEO health as well, because it goes hand in hand. If you're not putting out good content for the people, the answer engines aren't going to care either.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think I don't know about you, but I'm lazy. I'm at the point now when I do searches, I don't go to Google search. I go right to Gemini and just say, give me the answer I want, and I'm done. And I just
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
I would say today I did 20 or 25 searches for research, and probably 21 of them were in Gemini. So that's kind of
yeah.
how I
If
roll.
I'm looking for a broad answer, for sure, like local stuff, I kind of wonder where answer engines fall into play because they might not have all the local stuff. But you're getting winners. Obviously, you ask for restaurants, and it's going to give you 10. But there's going to
Mhm.
be 30 that aren't there yet. So how do you get those guys on there too? And that's, part of the development on that side is to not just have them only. It's what's nice about Google is you can see the winners, but you can also go to the guys on page 5 and 6 if you need to. I don't know how you do that in a chat bot, in an AI bot. How do you ask for more? But
I don't think
it's
Gemini doesn't usually let you go there yet. So
mm,
I think, and we got to remember, AI is still evolving too, right? So
yes,
it's
yes,
it's going to be really interesting. I actually think where AI is getting that up. Do you remember what the search engine wars were like when Yahoo was the first big one, really. Let's be fair.
mm,
And
yes,
then Google came around and blew everybody out of the water. And then we saw
yes,
all these third-party engines disappearing. And one of the latest casualties was, didn't Ask Jeeves go by the
yeah,
wayside in the last couple of months? I mean, after
uh-huh,
years and
yep,
years. But we saw a consolidation in the search engine with places like AltaVista and Lycos and AskGs and all kinds of them.
yep,
And they're all basically gone. And I
hmm,
think AI is going to go through the same, I hate to say awakening, where
mm,
I truly think by the time we're done, you'll have Gemini, OpenAI, and probably maybe one more, and
hmm,
that will be it. And you might have some niche stuff, but I don't think all these people are going to survive. I think it's going to consolidate. The reason I think OpenAI will consolidate is they have Microsoft's investment, and that's a lot of do. And then
yes,
and the third one probably ChatGPT, but I think everybody else, all these niche products, they might survive, but I'm not so
hmm.
sure most of them will survive personally.
Yeah, it's kind of the nature of the technological world we live in now. You have a lot of people jumping in, but at the end of the day, you got Mac and PC and Linux
Yep, it's
and
true.
Google and kind of Bing and DuckDuckGo. And you
Yeah,
have a couple
and
that are
it's funny.
lingering.
It's funny you mentioned Bing, and you know what people don't realize who haven't worked in enterprise, and you have a day job. I've worked in enterprise. I worked for a large hospital for 22 years. That's enterprise. The number
Yes.
one browser in enterprise is Bing. It's not Chrome, and people don't
Oh,
realize
interesting.
that. Yeah.
And and I believe a lot of the smaller engines piggyback off of Bing too, don't they? I
Yep.
think
They
they use
do,
Bing as their back end search.
but the other advantage of Bing is that's one reason why in the SEO game, things like Microsoft business places are just as important because in a corporate environment, it's Bing versus Google business profiles. Also,
Hmm.
Microsoft's tie into OpenAI. That's another reason why you can't ignore that. And people say, but that's 10 or 20% of market. 20% of billions of dollars of market is a lot of money. So
Yeah, I love that stat too. Somebody's like, "Oh, nobody's going to buy your plugin." Okay, well, there's hundreds of millions of users.
yeah.
1% of nobody is still a lot of users, or even a half a percent of nobody is a lot of users
hmm
still. So
hmm
back to the why compete in a competitive space, a couple hundred installs a month does great for me. I don't need
Yep.
to compete against the 8 million install plugins, and I don't want to. I don't need to replace them. They're great as well. Everybody's, they have their offering. I think I mentioned this on our call last week. Is I've been building things on the internet for 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
I've never made money from the internet. I've sold stuff, sure, like on eBay or whatever, but I've never like made a thing, packaged it up, and say, somebody buy this so I can earn a little bit of side money from this. And so I'm excited to offer something that I feel has some great value
hmm
for small businesses or solopreneurs or even just freelance SEO guys who want another tool in their tool belt. I think it's great. I think it's really, really great. It can really help the guys who are just doing it on their own be a lot more powerful in their skill set and take on more client work because they can analyze a lot quicker than before. They don't have to have this tool
True.
open in that window, that tool open in that window, that tool open. It's just your website data. You have it all, and you can talk to it. And going down that route a little bit more, the SEO plugin pulls in your Google Search Console, and it keeps that history for as long as you have it going, so you can always know where your keywords have been. I've added a connector to dataforseo.com where you can enter your
Oh,
own
good.
API credentials and do your own data research and keyword research, backlink research, whatever. I've added in a competitors tab that'll keep tabs on your competitors and how their homepages are looking, how their page
And you can
speed,
do
their
that.
load times.
And that's right in your WordPress dashboard. And where I would
Yes.
say is most businesses, and I see this a lot. I always say to businesses I work with, do you know what your competitors are doing? And they're like,
Yeah.
I don't have time. And I'm like, why not? Why not?
Why not?
I'm chuckling, but it's like, why not? And
Yeah.
one of the dirty secrets I always tell my clients, by the way, and I'll share this one on this podcast, and people can shoot me later because they will. Find an email address that's not tied to your domain, and sign up to all your competitors' newsletters, and do it now.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
honestly, SEO aside, do at least that to start, because then you know
Yeah.
what your competitors are throwing out there.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite movies is The Last Samurai, and
Yes.
there's a scene where you have Ken Watanabe talking to I forgot his name, Tom Cruise, and they're not friends yet. They become spoiler, they become a little friends. But he's like, "What are the point of these conversations?" And he goes, "To know my enemy." Not that your competitor is your enemy, but like if you don't know what they're doing, how can you know what to do
Yep.
yourself? And
Yep.
so to know your competition is a great mantra. So after our
hmm
conversation last week, you mentioned that, and I've beefed up that part of my plugin a little bit more to be a little bit more
Oh, good.
robust and
Good.
offer a little bit more data. And And it even has automated check-ins. Like it'll scan weekly now, and if something changes, it'll let you know what your competitor has done different. So you don't even have to be on top of it. You can just let it
Yeah, so
let you
the
know.
advantage of this is you've developed a tool that does the work for me instead of all the manual work that you had to do before. So I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. And as time goes on, I'll figure out better ways to implement more competitor research. And what can we do?
Mhm.
Maybe it could go do searches and figure out where they rank on stuff. I don't know. Sky's the limit right now, and it's a ton of
Yeah.
fun figuring this stuff out.
What is having seen the plugin and I like what you've done, what is the most feature that excites you the most in the plugin?
So right now, that is trying to gather in as much data as I can, because
Hmm.
if the data exists, you can work with it,
Yeah.
display it as well as I can, but it might not get everything displayed. But if the data lives in the database, then your AI
Yeah.
agent can find it because it's all accessible through the WordPress through the REST API. And that has been like really fun for me. But what I'm really excited about, this is going to be for the SEO plugin. Right now it's at version 1.9. When I kick off version 2.0, is going to be agent managed split testing, which is
Yes.
always, it's what we got to do, but it's so difficult. And there's tools that you can use. You can go
Ah,
to Unbounce and use landing pages there. You can use VWO, which does some other manipulation. But like, I want to talk to my data and be like, okay, if they land on a phone, I want my H1 to be this. If they're on a desktop, I want it to be that. If it's 8 in the morning, prime business hours, say this. If it's 4 o'clock in the morning, they're up for some reason, talk to them in that language. Like just make up weird stuff and just split test it and let the agent craft the JavaScript or the content manipulation to make it work. So you don't have to go digging yourself, be like, okay, if the hours are between 7 a.m. and 11 a.m., echo this. If it's that, just let the agent just write that code and just test and really try stuff. And you could get instant results, and you can say when the threshold hits this, lock it in, and then try
mhm.
another one. And so like this whole split testing is what I'm getting super excited about, because I've always wanted to do time based and geography based and IP based. And if somebody's come back half a dozen times, let's give them a unique experience, like a little pop-up that says, hey, you're back again. What's your
Mhm.
name? Come on, what are you looking for? Like, what do you need to know more of? And I'll help you find it, or whatever. I don't even know. The sky's the limit. But like, let the agent work with your creativity on split tests to really do them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That excites
I
me.
also It's interesting when you talk about the plugin. I think a good part of your markup is going to be Europe, EU, and I'll tell you
Yes.
why. You're containing all your data in the website, in the WordPress backend. And
Yes.
that satisfies
Yes.
a lot of the European Economic Community's laws on privacy.
Hmm. Yeah. And I don't get anything. I get the bare bones stuff to give you a license.
Yep.
And that's it. I get first name, last name, email, and the site URL that you activated it on. That's it. I don't know any numbers past that. I don't have access to any data past that. You own your data. You can dictate how long you hold it for. It'll do, I believe, 90 days of like stupid amounts of information, but that'll make your database massive. And then every 90 days, it will, um, what's the word I'm looking for? It'll cull through that and then offload that to a side loaded SQLite database that lives inside your content folder. So it can still access data from 2 years ago, just not like every user journey, but you'll have users and you'll have some journeys. And anyway, that's it's it's data that you have, but you have access to for as long as you want to retain it, and hopefully not fill your server up with gigabytes of database that slows your site down. I don't want to have that either. So keeping performance in mind.
Your camera's on.
Um, oh, did my camera turn off?
Yep.
It sure
You're
did.
okay.
Hold on a second. I was using my fancier Fuji camera, and I think nope, that's not the right camera. Yep, FaceTime ID and start. There, I'm
That's
back.
okay.
The battery died.
Beauty of technology and
Yes.
podcasts. Sometimes they happen, and sometimes things go on. Um, but it's not just that you're not getting the information about the data. to be honest, I think some of it is just the fact it's self-contained in the site
Hmm.
that will satisfy a lot of EU regulatory requirements, and more countries are putting in data requirements and data policies, and you and I both know it's. I don't even want to get into this debate on this show today, but
Sure. No.
on one hand, we're having companies say we need privacy. On the other hand, we're having governments saying we need backdoors. It's the whole privacy mess is just getting out of hand, actually, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, and another nice thing about it is because you do own the data. If what was it, iOS 17 or Apple decided to start blocking things, doesn't
Yes.
matter. You have a JavaScript that runs locally, that stores locally. No harm, no foul, no change.
Mhm.
You can. I don't know, other than just like literally blocking what a browser can do by default with local storage and stuff. What else can they do to take away analytical data like this for you?
I don't know. It's a battle with marketers because I hate to tell you, for marketers and anybody trying to market a product, it's all based on profiling. And
Hmm.
how do you profile if you don't have data? And I'm going to
Yeah.
say this here at the risk of getting hate mail, which I'll get, but that's okay. We always talk about how profiling is not good in society. I'm going to tell you, marketers are the worst ones at doing it because
Yes.
why would you sell certain merchandise to a race or a culture that won't buy it? Let's be honest. I mean,
Right.
why would you do that?
Right. No, you want to know your target audience and target your target audience. So yeah, I agree completely. So I love that. Um, yeah, it's all your data. It lives on your website. You can move it when you want. You can do whatever you want with it, and you have full access to it. There's nothing's locked. It's in your database. If you get yourself a SQLite, a SQL Explorer, and just go digging around and see what you find. If you don't want to use the agent, whatever, just it's yours. It lives on
Yeah.
your site. There's no other login to remember, or yeah, it's yours. Privacy focused, and it's yours for you to do with as you need to make your business better.
So the database, that's always a concern. We take a plugin like this, and I think about plugins like this that store stuff locally. I think of logging plugins that store stuff locally. I think of
Hmm.
e-commerce plugins that store stuff locally. This is like, what's the performance hit on the database? And then my next question is, do you have separate tables or are you using the main database tables? How are you kind of managing that?
It creates its own tables, so
Okay,
it's not going into any of the WP WordPress default tables.
good.
As far as site performance goes, it just loads a little JavaScript to do the tracking. You're not doing a lot of database writes to slow it down, as far as I've discovered. I haven't been able to put this on any massive high traffic site,
Yeah.
but everything's been great. When I'm interacting with the data, whether through the dashboard or with Claude, it goes fine. It's not slow. It just hums along. I actually haven't checked how big my tables are on one of the projects that it's been on there for a few months. So that could be kind of interesting to look at. But
That's because yeah.
um, but I obviously want to do my best to keep it optimized, which is why we offload stuff to a smaller, get it off the MySQL database and do a SQLite table. So the data's still there, but not nobody wants to migrate a 4 GB table every time they want to pull down something, or
Yeah.
have to move your
What I,
host
what
and,
I
and
would
you break it.
what I would say is a couple things. First of all, if you find your database calls are getting that slow from a plugin like this, then you're probably on the
Hmm.
wrong hosting. Like, let's be honest. There's a big
True.
difference between cheap hosting because they limit resources and PHP calls and more expensive hosting. We all know that. That's the first thing to
Yeah.
look at. The other thing to look at is are you doing house cleaning on your database? Are you running any one of the big cleaning tools to optimize your database on a regular basis? Do you have somebody, if you're not doing it, do you have somebody doing that for you? And I think
Hmm.
if you're going to run something like this, or even an activity log, something really simple like an activity log for logging of what's being done on the site, I think doing cleanup on the site is a must, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I remember having a falling down a rabbit hole trail. This like knowing that databases can get big, and I kind of on
Hmm.
the future roadmap, not no date assigned yet, but there are several great database services out there with a
Yeah.
fantastic API that you could start to just have your data go there, and then your queries just hit them, let their servers run all the processing, and just give you the results back. And I think I kind of have that in my future roadmap is to offer a third party database connection to really, because if you want to store every bit of data for as long as you want to, and you want to pay for that to be stored somewhere, great. I'll pick some of those services, I'll enable some APIs, and then we can keep your WordPress database maybe 90, 120-day retention, and then start to push it off to the other stuff for historical access, but queryable through your dashboard, still through your AI agent. We don't have to bloat this local database to be 10 gigabytes big.
Yeah. I would say what comes to mind right away, I think that's a great idea. My concern always is API keys equals a
Hmm.
potential security nightmare. Let's be fair.
Hmm.
And I
Yep.
think anybody that's concerned about that, there's been a couple really good articles lately because WordPress 7 has gone down that road, which we know at the time of this record
Yes.
with API key for AI. I think
Yeah.
my friend Kathy Zant wrote a really good article recently about things to do. I know Mark Westgard over at WS Forms wrote a good article about things to do. I think you need to start taking care of your site health, including things like, honestly, two-step authentication. And a
Mm.
lot of it's common sense stuff that everybody says, "Oh, it won't happen to me. It won't happen to me. It won't happen to me." And the more API keys we put in, I hate to say it, makes WordPress a bigger target a little bit,
Mm.
and the
Yeah,
web a
that's
bigger
very fair.
target of people trying to get at API keys. So I think, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. Don't get me
Sure.
wrong. I think that's the world we live in, but we need to be very careful from a security perspective. We manage our security better to protect those API keys. Is all I'm saying.
Mm. It's a very valid, yeah, very valid concern. And um, right now there's a couple, but you're right. Keeping them secure, and hopefully WordPress comes up with some good methodology to keep these safe as well, because it's only gonna get more and more, like you said, connecting to different
Yeah,
places.
I think a lot of it is users taking care of their own stuff. I mean, I haven't looked lately, but I'd like to see the number of people running free WordPress 7.0 stuff right now. I really would, because I think it's
Mm.
higher. And I know there's some countries around the world where, especially in Africa and places like that, where we historically see people running older versions because data rates aren't the same, et cetera, et cetera. But I think
Yeah.
the trade-off to that is the security side. Like I know on the Windows side, we see a lot of Windows exploits is out of China, out of Russia, out of Ukraine. I hate to say it,
Yeah.
out of
Yep.
countries like that. And people laugh at me, and I say, but that's an issue. So
Yes.
you know what I'm saying.
Hmm.
So we got to be careful of that too, personally.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think
It's
that's
something I'm trying to keep in mind. Database size, security. I've got Google Search Console. You connect with your client key and your secret, and then it does page speed insights. You can run tests from within your dashboard. So that's a free API key you
yep,
get from Google. You can do it without it, but I think it limits to like 15 pages a minute. And if you get the API key, it's faster. I
yeah,
don't I
of
don't remember the
course.
limits.
Because they need some
Um,
reason to authenticate back to their back end, right? To make sure they're secure. So that's the reason
yes,
we're doing peace.
right. Yep,
It's a
yep. And then I got
catch
a
20.
data for SEO API key in there, and
Yeah,
yes, it is. It's
just a catch
API.
22.
One thing I love about AI agents is it's been a lot easier to do API work because docs were terrible or indecipherable,
Yeah,
or and it's like, hey, Claude, you know the API, just go try stuff, and then it's been
yeah,
great to code stuff out like that. But yeah.
no question. As you move ahead on your roadmap, If you were to say you had one feature that you're working on right now that you really want in there, what is it?
It's a lot of it's going to be that split testing, and
Yeah,
um,
I'm sure.
I'm really excited about that. The other thing that I'm looking forward to doing is I want to get more. The next companion plugin I want to work with, and maybe it won't be as big as SEO, is something for paid to give you some better metrics for paid, or just better, yeah, better data for paid, and you can work with your advertisements that way. Also, commerce is a huge opportunity there. So
Yeah,
WooCommerce
big one.
sites or headless e-commerce sites, what kind of unique functionality can we add, unique data insights can we add to that, but also enable, once again, split testing on product descriptions, or which photo gets displayed first, or which products end up on the homepage. Like, the split testing, I feel like is the next real big thing. And it doesn't need to launch with every bell
Hmm.
whistle in the kitchen sink. It just needs to give you some basic stuff. And then over time, I'll continue to add more and more. And what I really want, and I still got to add this tab, is like, let me know what you want. A feedback tab, a feedback
Yeah,
part of the web of the plugin. Like, how are you using it, and where does it need to be better? Because I'm running it by myself, doing stuff that I'm comfortable with, but I don't know how everybody else does SEO, or what tools or metrics or reports you want. So, would love to get this in the hands of more people to just tell me what to do to make it better, because I want it
yeah,
to be robust and useful, and I want it to be a go-to plugin for people that fit
I
this
agree.
market.
I so agree. If somebody wants to find out more about the plugin, talk to you, where do they go and how's the best way?
Sure. So the plugin's found at trykantan.com. That's trykantan.com. You can download the analytics plugin there. You can buy the SEO there. It has a 14-day return window if you'd like. If you don't like it, it's $33 a quarter or $99 a year. So I don't think it's too steep. And the return, I believe, can be pretty quick. If you're making your clients more money, you can get more clients. And if it enables you to take on more SEO clients yourself because you can work that much faster, fantastic. So I find it's a pretty solid value prop. Like I said, analytics is free. I'm just about ready to submit the analytics to WP.org to get it on their plugin repo there, so you can search for it from your dashboard. It's not there yet. That takes a hot minute to get approved, but I'm checking all the boxes to get that done, and just having a great time building it. So would love for you to give it a try, and reach out to me on the website if you have any questions, or I don't know, just hit me up. I'm excited to get this thing rolling.
Yeah. Thanks, Joel. I appreciate you coming on and talking about it. I wish you good
Hey,
luck with the plugin, and we'll talk to you soon.
thanks, man. This has been a great opportunity. Really grateful for it.
Thank, thank you. Thanks again to our sponsor, All-in-One WP Migration by ServeMask. Export your entire WordPress site in one click, import it anywhere. No server access needed, no command line, works with every hosting provider. Free on WordPress.org or extension at servemask.com. A very special thank you to Joel for joining me on this edition of the STM Show. The STM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.